and welcome to the show. I am Tracy Timm here with Donnie Boivin. Today you are watching the Nth Degree TV, which is, of course, the place to be to take your career from stuck to unstoppable. So excited to be here with you today, and so excited to have my guest, Donnie, who happens to be a dear friend and also a phenomenal success coach and motivational speaker. So as you guys know, this show usually features me, a peer, so someone going through maybe a quarter-life crisis or some kind of transition, or a mentor, somebody who can look back on their life and talk about the things that they liked, the things they didn't, the things they might have regretted, and what they might do differently. And the fun thing about Donnie, my guest today, is that he's kind of both. So we're going to talk a lot today about success and what that means. We're going to talk about Donnie's story in particular and how he's gone from an incredibly successful career and transitioning to his own business at this time. So Donnie, I'm so excited to have you.
Oh, me too. And by the way, that is the best intro I've ever seen for a podcast. Well done, dude. Well done.
You know, I do every one of these every once in a while.
You can do a dance from now.
Awesome. Yeah. So, you know, I want our listeners, our watchers, our viewers, hello you, to get to know you a little bit better. So if you could tell us a little bit about your story, how you got to where you are today.
It's got to start off this way. You got to know I'm a former United States Marine. And the only reason I tell you that is my language, you know.
Yes. Yes, I forgot this at the beginning. Thank you for reminding me.
You.
If you have young ones around, put headphones in. If you are a young one, turn this off and go watch SpongeBob.
Yeah,
no, that's worse. That's terrible.
Yeah, don't
do that.
Yeah.
But turn this off and perhaps turn it down because colorful language will be
as I get jazzed up, it's just
shortly. Yeah. All right, so Marine, let's go from there.
So I, got out of the Marine Corps, jumped immediately into a sales career, and I've spent the last 18 years being a straight commission sales guy. So literally, if you don't understand what that means, it means I never really had a salary. I just ate what I killed and lived off of that income. So if I didn't sell, I didn't eat. And through that time, I grew up in the self-help world, the leadership world, coaching, training, all that kind of stuff. And throughout my career, I just kept finding myself in unique rooms, unique opportunities, and I was either coaching somebody or I was on stage in front of a room. I was constantly finding myself in positions to either inspire a person on an individual one-on-one basis or inspiring crowds to really go for it and have a great time. And literally earlier this year, I had an epiphany that through my entire career that I've spent that in time making other people rich, making other people wealthy, and I'm really just got tired of it and decided that, now it's my turn. Now it's my turn to go big as hell and chase my dream, chase my own destiny, and really go give my message to the masses. And that's really how I came full circle to become a success coach and a motivational speaker, which is not something I wanted to be when I was a kid. It's like nobody signs up to be a sales guy, right?
No.
At 3 years
or
old,
maybe a motivational speaker.
Right. Nobody at 3 years old, when the teacher says, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" says, "I want to be a motivational speaker," or "I want to be a salesperson." Right? Those aren't even things. So it's just funny how life just turns our direction on us sometimes, and it's our choice whether we step up to the bat and take ownership of that, or we choose to be okay living an okay life.
So true. Oh my gosh. And again, I love our conversations because I feel like you and I come from the same place. We're
Absolutely.
both equally as excited about it. So what I want to ask you though is, you said specifically you found yourself finding yourself in the place where you were on stage, or finding yourself where you were in the place where you were motivating people. But how much of that do you think was you seeing opportunities and taking advantage of it? And how much was, someone just shoved me on stage and that's how I found out I was good at it?
The first couple of times when I was young, my sales career, it was kind of somebody put me on stage, right? They said, "Hey, we need somebody to come in and talk about X," and so I was a guy on stage. Well, from those experiences, it resulted in the sales. Right. So now I realized, holy cow, I got a whole nother sales methodology here that I wasn't even employing. I mean, there was cold calling, there was networking, all the normal stuff, but I had no idea that you could get on stage and people would actually come up to you afterwards and go, "Hey, I want to learn more about what you do." And I went, holy shit, that's a thing.
Isn't that fun?
Right.
And the great part is that's a thing that you were good at.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And people kept asking me to do it, which was fun. And, it wasn't something that I consciously set out to do. It just came something that I came really good at. And I think it's because people really enjoy how straight, no nonsense I am. Most of my clients, they tell me is, you better tell everybody you coach, they better come in with a very thick skin because you don't sugarcoat anything,
Fact.
But people don't pay me to come in to coddle them, right? I'm not here to baby them. I mean, if you want to kick ass in life, then you've got to be able to hear the things you don't want to hear in the first place. Because most people are half-assing it, period, plain and simple, right? They're not getting after it like they should be getting after it. So by the time somebody sits across from me, they're already at that place in life where that worked well.
That's us talking. How do I turn this off? There we go.
Beautiful. Gotta love live.
Gotta love live.
But by the time somebody gets to me, they're really at that crossroads, right? They're at that crossroads in their life where they really just don't know which direction they go. They have kind of this vision or path, and now they're trying to figure out how to run like hell straight towards it, and that's where I come into play. Okay,
so you're working specifically with people who might already have their vision in place and want to plan?
Both. Okay. So half of my clients are that way, right? They have this vision, they have this goal, they're ready to rock and roll, but maybe they don't know all the steps to it, the next moves to make. The other half of the people that they feel like or they know that they're meant for more, right? They just don't know what that next path is. And trust me, those are fun conversations for me because, you know, a lot of times it ends up almost into a teary conversation because we're going to peel back the layers and go way back to understand what makes them tick, you know, and how do we actually understand and find their passion in life. And dude, that's a fun conversation. It's not, I mean, when I say it makes somebody cry, it's because it's the joy on the back end. They're finally figuring out what they're meant to be. They're finally figuring out what they're going to do. And dude, that's a joyous celebration. I love that point.
It is. And I really encourage my clients because I was encouraged along the way that each new level of understanding or each new level of clarity should be celebrated.
Hell yeah.
Right? It's not like you are waiting until you get to the very end where you're a fully realized, fully self-actualized business owner or whatever it is you want to be, right? It's all along the way. Like the day that I figured out that I didn't like my job, I celebrated. Like the day that I figured out I could quit my job, I celebrated, right? And then the day that I figured out what I thought I might want to do, I celebrated. And I really think that's important for all of your clients to know, right? Is that it doesn't have to be completely realized to be celebrated.
Well, and I think, you know, if you don't celebrate, you don't fully embrace what you just did. You don't realize that you just leveled up. Right. And I love the thought process. And one of my mentors told me this, and I'm stealing it and borrowing it every chance I get. But he goes, dude, every time life changes or life gets tough, it just means you leveled up. It's like being in a game, right? You got to learn everything over again. And dude, if you don't celebrate, holy cow, that I just got to the next level, then my question always is, did you really level up? Did you really go to the next level? Or are you at that stage where you think you've made the transition, but you actually haven't moved?
Fascinating. Because I would even think that it could be somebody who's not appreciating even the tiny baby steps that they made, right? So, okay, so if you're talking to somebody right now, because a lot of the audience of this show are people who have jobs that they hate.
Right.
So how do if I don't know my vision yet, but I know that where I'm at is just not where I want to be, what's step one in your mind?
Step one for me is do the thing that scares the pure living shit out of you.
You heard it here.
And here's what I mean is I think most people stay in jobs they hate because they don't know anything else, right? So if you have any of the most minute inclination that you want to do X, go do X. And especially if that scares the crap out of you, because trust me, fear is one of the greatest motivators on the face of the earth. And if you run straight at whatever's scaring the crap out of you, you're gonna find so much out. It's crazy. I mean, the day I jumped out on my own like this, I completely had a freak out session, right?
Did you lose it a little bit? Dude. The day I quit my job, my banking job, I cried. I walked into the parking lot all excited. You know, I'd only worked like a half day. This was like glorious. And the minute the door shut behind me, it was like,
what the hell did I just do?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think we appreciate that.
Right.
Like I know that because, you know, you're online and I'm online and we're doing this kind of stuff, people probably think, oh, they're fearless.
Right.
No. Right? Like we're just running at the fear instead of running away. You know what? In fact, I don't know if you've heard this before, but apparently, have you heard this about buffaloes and rain?
No.
So apparently buffaloes, I think it's buffaloes or cows. I can't remember specifically. I heard this story.
Somebody Google it really quick.
Google it and let us know. Apparently, so when they see a storm coming, instead of running away from it, they'll actually run towards it, knowing that as the storm passes you, if you're running towards it, you get through it faster.
Oh,
as
I'll be
opposed
damned.
to when you're running away. I know. And somebody told me this at a motional event. And I was just like, oh, Yoda, like tell me everything. But I find that fascinating.
Yeah, that's
it really
awesome.
is. It really is true.
I want a buffalo tattoo now. I think that'd be awesome. That way I've got to tell the story every time it comes across.
Yeah,
right?
I love it. Okay, so figure out the thing that scares you, sure. But what are the other ways that somebody can figure out? Because you mentioned already, what do people keep asking you to do? What are the other ways they can kind of discover what
I find is with most people, the reason they don't know what they want to be when they've grown up is because they haven't really experienced enough things in life.
Okay.
Right? So, a lot of people come from parents and grandparents who work 20, 30 years in one profession, one job. So part of it is that's their mentality is that's all they know. And when that's all you know, you don't have enough life experiences to figure out what drives you, what actually fuels your passion. So I would challenge you, and I love Mark Cuban's story. Mark Cuban's got a great story on how he got a job all through his career, and he never took a job just to get a job, which most people do. He actually took jobs to learn a particular skill set. So he didn't know much about computers, so he went and got a computer job. He didn't know anything about sales, so he went and got a sales job. He didn't know anything about marketing, so he went and got a marketing job. And everything was kind of planned that he didn't know where for sure he was going, but he was learning those tangible skill sets all the way through. So if you don't know for sure what that path is, go jump into something else. Go take on something else. And what's crazy is people don't like doing that because they don't want to take the risks. Yeah. And I would challenge you, go take the risk because you're really going to find out what you're made of.
And they don't want to screw up.
Right.
Like the risk and fear we could talk about all day long, but when it comes down to it, when you're talking to somebody, like getting down to brass tacks, I think the thing is we all look at our resume or we look at how we look to other people, and we don't want to blip, we don't want to gap, we don't want any holes, we want to look as though we had a plan all along, right? And there's no room for what you're talking about. So what do you say to someone who says that?
Get over it.
I was waiting for some that's BS.
Well, I mean, I sat in front of a group of entrepreneurs last week, and they were talking about this company they had created, and both these guys were engineers, right? And they had created this shoe thing. It was you put your shoes on, the display piece. It was really, really cool. And they actually said to the crowd that their biggest problem is they don't have enough time to scale the business because they work full-time jobs. So me being me, I raised my hand. They said, "Okay, what's your question?" I said, "Quit your job." And the whole room, you should have heard them. They go, "Oh, because, they can do it without money." I said, "No, the one thing that's holding you back is, you don't have enough time. Quit your damn job and go full tilt boogie. You want to see what you're made of. If this is your passion, this is your baby, go all in. Quit tenderfooting around and get after it." And it was just amazing to watch everybody else's insecurities come out, right? Because they were throwing it out there like, why would you do that? Because, they lose their income streams, all that. Bullshit. If you actually go after it, I'm telling you flat out that you will ramp up faster chasing that straight fear, because that's the only thing holding those guys back at this point.
And what I love about your story is that you've lived it.
Yeah.
Like you are doing exactly that. And I know, how you're doing, and I know your clients, and I know that you've been in business for now how long?
3 months.
3 months.
Boom.
And this, is not a guy without responsibilities. That's the other thing. No. Is like we always think that, yes, when you're young, like that's when we need to be taking all the risks that we can. But like you have a house, you have a wife, you've got
we've got a full working farm. We built a secondary house on my property for my in-laws. So I'm taking care of basically 3 families right now. Right. And I am, the self-proclaimed patriarch of the family. All right.
Sure.
But I am supporting all of that. And I'm still said to hell with a career that I was making very well 6 figures and enjoying life, and jumped all in because I knew if I didn't go all out that I would half-ass my way into this. Right?
Sure, yeah.
So that was me, throwing all caution to wind and burning all my bridges. No escape routes, no ways getting out.
Burn the boats.
Yep, and flat out getting after it.
So is there anything holding you back?
Is referred to jumping into this or now?
Jumping into it.
Yeah.
And now.
Well, yeah, I was a wuss. I really
chicken.
truly. If I were completely honest, I never saw myself as a business owner. Right. So I never saw myself as the guy that should be leading an organization, if you will. And the truth was, it was all that confidence thing was kicking in, and I'm like, look. The only reason you don't see yourself as a business owner is because you haven't put yourself in a position to see if you can handle it.
Sure.
Right? And it was just the self-talk to myself going, okay, you can handle it. You got this. And now that I'm finding it out and diving into it, dude, I've made some stupid mistakes already, right? But who doesn't?
Yeah.
And I'm learning a lot, learning fast, and it's working itself out. it's always that fear of the unknown.
Sure.
That kicks your butt through this entire process. So, but it's fun grooving forward through all this right now.
So tell me then, because what I love that you touched on is a lot of times our personal identity gets attached to our work.
Absolutely.
Right? Like I am a salesperson, or
Right,
I am a rainmaker, or whatever, right? But you had to put all of that away and say, well, who am I now?
Yep.
Like, am I Donnie the business owner? Or so where do you how do you coach people to pull their personal identity or wealth or worth from somewhere else?
The phrase that I love to get people to understand is they already have people that look up to them, right? They already have fans, people that see them as a badass already, right? I tell most of my clients that they have to become the person their fans already think they are.
Oh, I love this.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you embrace that, and if you embrace and see how your fans think you're awesome already, and you become that person, it helps push you past all the other stuff. Because otherwise, you're only limiting yourself to your own beliefs of who you are. Well, sometimes those stories we tell ourselves are pretty negative, pretty intense.
A
right?
lot of the times. The stories.
So the only way to change those tapes is start putting in a different tape. And those tapes can be, dude, my fans already see me as the guy on stage. My fans already see me as the badass coach. My fans already see me kicking ass in life. Well, I might as well just become that.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I freaking love that.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome, right?
Absolutely.
But that's another twist on asking, finding out what people keep asking you to do.
Yeah.
Find out why your fans who are already your fans think you're awesome. And yes, for some of us that's bomb.
Yeah.
Right, and that's cool. But for a lot of us, I think we've even got friends who look up to us or ask our advice for certain things, or
Yeah, and I would tell you, pay attention to that, because I still get some of my closest friends that are business owners and whatnot that aren't per se out in the networking scene and all that, that call me up for advice, and that stuff just kept happening over and over again.
Yep.
People kept calling me up and say, "Hey, Donnie, what do you think about this?" Or I'm thinking about doing this with my business, or I'm thinking about doing this with my career. And when you hear those type of things keep popping up on a regular basis, that's the universe kind of poking in, going, "Dude, pay attention. There's something going on here. You need to do something with it."
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. So one of the things I love about your business is that your motto, if you will, is working with badasses who want to kick more ass in life.
That's great.
Right? So what does that mean to you?
I love how one of my clients put it. Jennifer, she said, Donnie, what you really do is take the people who have the it factor and help them go for it. Dude, I really think everybody has an inner badass. I really think that everybody's got this internal flame. I just think they haven't figured out how to fuel that internal fire so they can really, really go for it. So my job is to help people ignite that inner flame, turn it into a flipping bonfire. Because I think in life, everything you do should not only light yourself up, but it should light up everybody else around you.
Yeah.
And if you're not exploding into the world being just a badass at what you do, you're not inspiring others to go for it as well. And I think that's our lot in life. We're not put on this earth to be a hermit in a cave somewhere. We're put on this life to live and go as big as we want to. And putting out there that I coach badasses that want to kick more ass is fun, because people self-qualify all the time, right?
I'm a badass.
Right, exactly.
I want to be more badass.
Exactly. And the badasses, they come up and they say, okay, how do we work together? What do we do? What's that next step? And the people that aren't ready to make that leap, they'll tell me, Donnie, I'd love to do this, but, right? There's always that but coming. And that's okay, right? When they're ready, come find me, we'll be running. But
let's talk about that for a second. I think the feeling of being ready is a myth. I really do, right? Like, you're not ever going to feel ready. I never felt ready to quit my job. I never felt ready. Well, actually, one day I was ready to quit my job, but that's neither here nor there. But little things in life, right? Like, we keep telling ourselves, well, that one day when I'm ready, or that one day when I've saved up enough money, or that one day when my resources are in order, or I found a home, or what. We always put something in the way. How do I get out of that mindset?
Stop it. I knew you're gonna love that. Now,
practical advice,
real world tactical measures right now.
Yes.
But the truth is stop it is really the answer. Is quit planning, quit putting all the things in place, and take action. Right? Action drives attitude. And what most people are waiting for is they're waiting for their attitude to get right. Well, that never works that way. It's like motivation. If you're walking through your house and you have dirty plates sitting in your sink, and you're like, man, I'm just not motivated. Right? I just don't have the right attitude to do the dishes. Right? You're not going to do them.
Right.
because you're waiting for something else to click in place.
Right.
But if instead you just take one action and you start cleaning, you start doing, you start picking up whatever, what you're going to find is not only do you clean the dishes, you're going to clean the counters, you're going to clean the tops, you're going to clean the cap. Next thing you know, you're mopping the floors, because motivation and your attitude changes after you actually take an action and do something, right? So to get off the train of I'm trying to wait for it to be right, I'm waiting for it to be perfect, or I'm waiting for it to whatever, is to stop it and take an action. It can even be a small incremental action, because everything happens after you take that move.
Yeah. So what do you tell somebody then who is like, all right, I want to take action, but I'm super overwhelmed at all the things standing in between me and that thing that I want to do?
Stop it. I'm kidding.
This is going to get boring. This is going to get really boring. No,
what I find is most people that are just overwhelmed in work is they're actually not working a plan of any sort.
Okay.
Right? So they're not regimenting their day out so that they can actually get something done. So I would tell you, and I learned this from the Napoleon Hill book, Think and Grow Rich, is start off every day writing down 6 things you have to accomplish, right, to start getting your regiment going. And then regiment the rest of your day and make sure you get those 6 things accomplished. And what you find is you start getting more organized with your life. Everything starts falling into place because you can actually do more. So set up a schedule, start regimenting your day out. I mean, like for me, every morning I get up, I write an article, I record that article in a audio version, I turn that into a meme that goes out on Instagram and Facebook. I then record a micro podcast as part of that. I journal. And then I get ready to start my day off. And what I find is getting that damn regimented. But I
love it. I've been in business for 3 years. I suck at this stuff.
Right?
Like, this is amazing.
Me too. Right.
Yeah.
But I had to do it. Right. That was the tools I had to put in place to ensure that I would do it. And dude, that's 7 days a week. I mean, there's no breaks. Right. This is every morning regimented routine. And what I find is that helps me start every day off on
I
the
love
right
it.
foot.
What's the thing you tell yourself when you're lying in bed and you don't want to get up?
Move. Right. But and the only reason I say move is because I didn't know what to say. I don't have the problem. Right. Right. I don't have the problem of not getting up. Most times I beat my alarm up. And here's why I think I do that. I think I've always been a morning person. Right. I know that. Right. But now most times I'm so excited to work on this business and do more things that I get up and get moving. Right. And it's just fun to have that in my life, because a lot of times I'll wake up and go, that's what I'm writing today. That's my article. And it pops in my head before I actually walk downstairs to get the ready done.
That's so cool.
But and so part of that is just getting regimented with the process.
I love it. I love it. All right. So how do you help any one of your clients? Because you're a success coach.
Right.
So success means lots of different things to lots of different people.
It does.
How do you help each person that you work with define their idea of success?
What I find is for most people, once I tell them what I believe my personal definition of success is, they kind of start embracing that as their own. Because for me, success is one word. And it's literally, success is nothing more than freedom. Right? And it's freedom to do whatever you want whenever you want it. Right? No rules, no holds barred, to be able to do it. And so my question always for them is when they're trying to find success, I said, what does freedom mean to you? How do you define freedom in your life? And then let's work towards that. Let's figure out how do we go from wherever your level is right now to your level of freedom. And that really gets them to wrap their mind around, okay, how big do they really want to go?
I love this. Well, if you guys are listening and you have questions for Donnie, I want you to go ahead and put them into the comments underneath this video, because we are obviously, you heard earlier, I'm watching this live while we're doing it live, which is fascinating to me.
Watching it live while watching it live.
Very creepy, yeah. But if you have questions, please let us know. But I am just so impressed with what you're doing. I think this is phenomenal work. And we've, followed each other for quite some time. And I think that, to your point of other people seeing what you're gifted at and maybe you don't see it until later, all along I was like, this guy needs to speak, right? This guy needs to be a super badass coach. So I have a question.
Okay.
When we're talking about what you just said, the mindset of success is freedom, did someone teach that to you along the way, or did you build that over time?
I've never been asked that. That's a great question. And thinking about it right now, I don't remember I've ever heard that anywhere. But nobody creates anything new about it. So somebody somewhere has said it, right? I'm just embracing it. And I think for me, it's more of the life that I wanted to live, and what success meant for me. And I think for a lot of years, I really tried to wrap my head around, what really would success look like for me. Mm-hmm. And when I heard the word freedom, that just became my calling, if you will, that I had to define my level of freedom. And for me, it's to do what I want whenever I want. No holds barred.
I freaking love it. That feels like something that I would say. But yeah,
you're a badass. We get it.
Thank you. No, thank you. But yeah, when I got started, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was define success for yourself now, so that you're not constantly comparing yourself and your life and your business to those of other people. So in addition to Donnie being a badass coach, he's also a badass writer. Donnie has you have to tell them the title of your. He has a phenomenal ebook. What's the title of your ebook?
That's Not How You Journal, Jackass.
And on once we post this on my website.
Oh, you did it again.
I know. And on be quiet, phone. There we go. And it's down. All right. That's Not How You Journal, Jackass is going to be on tracytimm.com on this blog post page. You'll be able to sign up a link underneath the video, and we'll also redirect you to Donnie's website too in case you want to learn more. We have a question from the audience. Do you want to hear it?
Yes, let's go.
All right. Melissa asks, does he ever turn down the opportunity to work with someone?
That's a great question. If they don't want to pay, then absolutely, I'm not in.
This is not a charity, friends. This is not a charity.
But with that said, I will always do a strategy session with anybody free of charge. Right? Yeah. I will sit down round one. Let's see if we're meant to work together. We work together. And a lot of times that's to see if people are ready to really ramp up.
Yeah, totally.
I think a lot of people reach out to me initially are deciding if they want to ramp up. So that's why I always do the strategy session to see if I can help them. So never really turn down people, but we will mutually decide that they're either not ready yet or they need to do a little bit more before they're ready to rock and roll.
Gotcha. I love it.
Great question.
Thanks it is. Thanks, Melissa. Appreciate it. So, Donnie, this has been fantastic. You're fantastic. You guys are fantastic. Love this. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you and how they can learn some more.
Absolutely. So find me on Facebook right now. My page is Success Champion. Check it out. I just put it up there this morning. I'm a firm believer you got to do the things that scare the living shit out of you, because that's how you get anywhere in life. So I've never done a webinar before, and this morning I literally put up a link today to say I'm doing a webinar on December 29th.
Right? December 29th.
So I'm figuring all this out on the fly, but I have a free webinar I'm doing. It's how to kick ass in 2018. We're going to go through the 5 steps of how to really make 2018 the best year ever.
Can you do the teaser of what are those 5 steps to get people excited?
Absolutely. So the first one and foremost is you got to start defining your strengths. What are they? You've got to learn to play offense, right? You've got to get after it. You got to go bigger than you've ever gone before, and you got to do everything that scares the living crap out of you. Right.
Did everybody get that? Did you get that? I love it. Oh my God. All right.
So we'll take a deep dive in each one of those as part of the process. Find me at my website at donnieboivin.com. On there, find me on Instagram. It's at Donnie Boivin. I put out a ton of content on there. I'm loving Instagram. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I've got it figured out now, I think. So it's working.
You and all the, millennials out there.
I know.
Just killing it.
We're trying.
I love it. I love it. So yes, donnieboivin.com, and then you'll be able to find this episode on tracytimm.com/Donnie Boivin, and we will have a link to Donnie's webinar. We're gonna have a link where you can download his amazing That's Not How You Journal Jackass ebook, and a whole lot more goodies for you guys. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
As you guys know, as I always say, this is your time, and with a little bit of help and a little bit of work, I promise you that we together can take your career from stuck to unstoppable. Thanks so much for being here. I'll see you next time.
See you guys.